Morning, as we start the second reading of the Torah today, in Parsha Kiseitze, we are holding on chapter 21, verse number 22. Mishpat Movis. A man committed a sin, which a sentence is death. With Salisa, and you shall hang him on a pole. So now says the connection between these passages is the one that was a wayward and rebellious son. Teaches us that if the father and mother spare him, he will eventually lead to an evil lifestyle and commit sins which he will be sentenced to death in court. Rabbi said, all who are stoned by the court must after be hanged. And the verse says, and hanging human force is blasphemy to God. Thus we find the sin of blasphemy is connected with hanging. And a blasphemer is punished by stoning. So not only is he stoned, but he's also hanged. Verse 23, but do not leave his body on the pole overnight. You should always bury him by on the day that he was killed. Here we learn the concept of burying somebody on the day that he died. Kikilasim tali, because for hanging a human, of course, is a blasphemy of God. The sad time is to do not defile your land, which God has given you inheritance. So that says this is a denigrating to the divine kings, whose image man was created. So even though this person did something terrible that deserves death, but still he's created in the image of God, and it's the disgrace of God to see such a situation. So it's a sad situation, even though the person deserved the aspect of death. This is compared to two identical twins, brother. One of them became king, and the other one was arrested for robbery and hanged. Whoever saw him, the second brother, suspended on the gallows, would say, the king is hanging. Therefore the king ordered that they remove him. So too, God says, when you hang up a person, then you're hanging God in a way. And therefore he shouldn't hang there that long. He should get immediately down and be buried. Chapter 22, verse number 1. You should not see your brother's ox or sheep straying. And you should and ignore them. You shall return him to your brother. This is the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda. If you find something lost, you're obligated to return it. It's a mitzvah. Covering your eyes. I see no evil. I do no evil. I didn't see it. So you can't say you didn't see it. Rashi says, you shall not see them, but rather you shall ignore them. What does it really mean? You shall not see them and ignore them. Meaning ignoring your brother's animal straying, that is a simple meaning of the verse. Our rabbis, however, explain that although this verse clearly means that one must not ignore them, nevertheless, the verse is alluding to a situation when one is in fact permitted to ignore them. For example, he's a kohen, and the animal has been wandering in a cemetery, where the kohen may not enter. Or if he's an honored sage, and it's beneath his dignity to lead an animal or carry a package in public places, he may not ignore them. He's not obligated to return them to his brother, but he's not allowed to ignore them. If your brother is not near to you, or if you do not know him, you bring it into your house, and now you have to watch it until your brother will seek it, and you will return it. So the Rashi says, what would you imagine that when we return something before one asks, why would you return it? You don't know who it is. It shall be with you until your brother seeks it out, So rather, the meaning is that you must keep the animal until you investigate him. I mean, you can't just give it to anybody who walks in and say, I lost it. You have to investigate it to make sure you're not giving it to the wrong guy. So he has to give you signs. He has to show you proof, verifying that he's not a swindler. That, and you shall return it to him, that there shall be something left in it to return, that it should be not consumed at the whole value in your house. So you should not claim it from him, from the owner. For here the rabbi said, any animal that works and eats should work and eat, that proceeds of the work, and the animal that does not work yet still eats should not be sold by the finder, and the money restored to the owner. So you take something in, an animal, you have to feed it. You take an animal in, the animal might have the obligations of you got to work the animal. Verse number 3: V'chein tas l'chamer, this you should do for his donkey. V'chein tas l'shem, this you do for his garment. V'chein tas al chol aved zachicha, and this you shall do for any lost article of your brother. Asher tevim mimena, which is lost from him. V'watzasa, and you'll find it. Leisuch l'salem, you cannot ignore it. Rashi says you're not allowed to cover your eyes, pretending that you not see it, because it might become a pain in the neck to take care of this animal. So there's a mitzvah to hashavas haveda, return a lost animal. Verse number 4. You're not allowed to see your brother's donkey or ox fallen under its load. And you can just ignore it. It's not my donkey, it's not my load. Hakim takimima, you shall pick up the load with him. So that's just this obligation of loading, meaning to load up the burden that has fallen off the animal, upload the burden too heavy for the animal. You shall pick up the load with him, with the owner. However, if the owner walks away and sits down and says, since the commandment is incumbent upon you, if you want to load, go ahead, load. You are exempt. Hakim takim imai, you help the person with him. The guy can't say, oh, you have the mitzvah, go do it. Verse number 5. A man's attire shall not be on a woman. Nor will a man wear a woman's garment. Because it's an abomination to God, whoever transgresses. So now she says, a man shall not be the attire of a woman, making her appear like a man, thereby enabling her to go amongst men. For this can only bring the purpose of adultery. Nor may a man do the same thing and wear a woman's dress, to go and abide amongst women. Another explanation, in addition to not wearing women's garments, a man must not remove a public hair from the hair of his armpits. He's not allowed to do what a woman does, to take away hair, hidden hair. Kisayaves. So Rashi says it's an abomination. The Torah forbids only wearing of clothes that would lead to an abomination. So this is the loophole. The question is why you want to change, why you're changing the clothes. You have to have a thought that you're changing it because you want to mingle between the other sex, so to say. Verse number 6. Ki yikara kantipel lefanecha. If a bird's nest chances before you on the road. V'chalates, in any kind of tree, or ha'aretz, or on the ground. Afreichim, beitzim, whether they are fledging eggs, fledgings or eggs, little chicks, or their eggs. And the mother sitting upon the fledgings, or upon the eggs, and you want to take the eggs. You're not allowed to take the eggs with the mother. So Rashi says the chance upon this excludes a bird's nest, which is you planned it. It has to be something that you found. While she is on her young, if she was not hovering overhead, you may take her from her young. you shall send away the mother, and then you could take the chicks or the eggs for yourself. So it'll be good for you, and you shall lengthen your days. This is one of the only mitzvahs, very few mitzvahs in the Torah, where God promises a reward of length of days, is Shluch HaKan, is to send away a mother bird. Rashi says, if in a case of a commandment easy to fulfill like this one, for which there is no monetary expense, Scripture says, do this in order that you shall have good for you and you shall have length of days, then how much greater is the reward for fulfillment of a commandment that are more difficult to observe, which are monetary expense. So if you do a mitzvah that has a monetary loss, God will reward you. And that completes the Chumash of the day. We now go to the Tanya of the day. Today is the 8th of Elul, and we're going to go to the Tanya of the day, which is the 12th letter. Yesterday we read the 11th letter of the Alter Rebbe, beautiful letter, and now we're going to go to the 12th letter of the Alter Rebbe. Hoya Maisat Tzedakah, the Alter Rebbe bases his letter on the verse. It says, Hoya Maisat Tzedakah Shalom, and the reward for the act of tzedakah will be peace. And the reward for the service of tzedakah will be quietness and surety forever. So some commentators explain that the act Maisa and the service Avodah, you have two expressions in this verse. The act of tzedakah brings peace. The service of tzedakah so what are one and the same? The verse merely reiterates the same theme in different words. Tagim Yonason, however, writes the act and the service indicating two different forms of charity. The reward for the act of tzedakah is peace. The reward for the service of tzedakah is quietness and surety. So what is the difference between these two expressions of the concept of the act of tzedakah and the aspect of the service of tzedakah? To understand the difference between an act and service, between shalom, what's the difference between peace, the reward of peace, and the reward of quietness and surety? Our answers according to what our blessed memory, our sages of blessed memory said on the verse, Oisa Shalom Imreimav. We say this every day. Oisa Shalom Imreimav, God who makes peace in high places. What does that mean? God who makes peace in high places. Because in the heavenly abode of the world of angels, you have Michael, the king, the angel, Michael, the prince of water. That's the prince of Chesed. The Gavriel Sal Shalesh, and you have the prince Gavriel, you have Gavriel, who's the prince of fire, which is Gevura, severity, ve'emak v'nzedze, and both of these angels do not extinguish one another. They're two very powerful angels. Although water seeks to quench fire, and fire endeavors to vaporize water, Michael is the prince of water, Gavriel is the prince of fire. Nevertheless, they do not extinguish each other. Why? What is the meaning of this? Michael is the prince of kindness, which is called water. Goes from a very high place to a very low place. This Michael is the concept of the descent, where God diffuses his divine life force from the higher to the lower. And then you have the nature of fire, lalas lamaila, to go above. He is the concept of severity, which is the concept of the descent, the ascent. The other one is the descent, now is the ascent, where the fire goes above, and upwards, withdrawal of the flow of the life force. So it's the ascent. So it should not come down, only with intense immense contraction. So that's Gevura. So Michal wants to give. Gabriel says, no, we cannot give. We gotta take away. These attributes are in conflict. Chet representing ultimate diffusion. Gevura representing limitation and contraction. But only when they are in the pristine state of the attributes. So in so much as attributes are inherently limited, and indeed the very word midah means a measure. So we call a midah as an attribute, but midah also means a measure. Each of them is confined in an innate characteristic. Chesed is expansiveness, and Gevura is withdrawal. So they're both different. So how do you put the two together? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but the Holy One, blessed be He, Oisa Shalom B'neim. He makes peace between both entities. He brings peace between Gabriel and Michal and Gabriel. That through a revelation, so that an intense illumination, an intense infusion from the infinite Ein Sof is revealed within him. As his name, Ein Sof, infinite one, is he, so is he. Because God is infinite. So therefore, he's not a measure, plane of an attribute. The is above any attribute. I feel it because Chachma bin Das Makami, even to say God is Chachma, is also an attribute. So the Eibush, the God who comes to Michal, to Chesed and Gevura, from a much higher plane, in the source, in Ein Sof, in the light of God, everything becomes one. And in that source, everything becomes one entity, mamish. In the source of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when God reveals His essence, so to say, then everything, Michal and Gabriel, become one entity, become peaceful. So once the individuality is nullified, they no longer oppose each other. By way of analogy, the tense enmity in two high official dissolves in presence of the sovereignty. So you could have many different powers in a kingdom, but when they're standing before the king, they all battle into friendship. They're not there. The king is important. They're nothing. It's because of the joint nullification before the king that the unity becomes about. So too, in defined bounds of the various attributes dissipate in the face of the limitless revelation of the infinite light. Then the Gevura, thereby tempered and mellowed, which is literally called sweetened into Chesadim, the sweetness of Gevura, and it's transformed into good and kindness. By the middle guy, the middle entity, which is God, that determined factor between Chesed and Gevura, which leans towards Matikap and Chesed, which takes Gevura and sweetens it. And what is that middle rod? It was the attribute of mercy. So you have Chesed on the right, Gevura on the left, and then you have the middle rod in the middle, which is Rachamim, Tiferes. When Chesed does not insist, so to speak, to an unlimited revelation of kindness, but is satisfied to reveal the godly illumination in a finite manner. And Gevura insists only on withholding a revelation from who the unworthy of receiving it, but does not insist on blocking revelation altogether, even by the worthy. Then the mediating attribute of mercy, which leans towards kindness, declares that while a particular recipient may not be strictly worthy of kindness, to be shown he's at least worthy of being granted it out of compassion. So then even Gevura, that says that, you know what, I'm willing to give the worthy, but I'm not willing to give the not worthy, says, you know what, because of Rachamim, I will give the not worthy too. That's the sweetening of Gevura. That's the beauty. So first you have to have this kalus, you have to have the unity between Chesed and Gevura. What's the unity of Chesed and Gevura? The unity of Chesed and Gevura both have to give and take. Chesed that wants to give everybody, says, okay, you know what? I won't give everybody. I won't give the unworthy. Gevura, which wants to hold back, says, okay, I'm going to give and take. I'm going to give the worthy. I'm not going to give the unworthy. Then comes Rachamim. And Rachamim says to Gevura, you know what? You're right. They're unworthy. But you know what? You have to have Rachamim. You have to have mercy. Not mitzad because they deserve it. Because we have mercy. So then Rachamim takes even Gevura and pushes him towards Chesed more. That we give not only the worthy, we give also those that are not worthy. Which is called Tiferes, beauty, in the terminology of Kabbalists, in the scholars of truth. That's why it's actually called, there's many names to the middle bar. It's Emes, it's Marachamim, it's Tiferes. Because it's made up of two colors. Loivim v'oidim, it's made up of these two colors, the colors of Chesed and Gevura. Chesed Gevura, white and red, which is white is Chesed, and oidim, red is Gevura. You mix them together. So Rachamim is difficult to Tiferes because it's beautiful. It's not one color, it's two colors. It's not one color, two colors that are together, it's a mixture of two colors. So you can have Chesed give in, and you can have Gevura give in, and then you can have the mixture. And that's the beauty. That's why it's called beauty. It's the mixture of Chesed, and that's Rachamim. That's mercy. And therefore the name Havaya, Yud Kei Vate, the tetragram, it shows an attribute of mercy. Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is the tetragram, which is the aspect of the ultimate true name of God, is also Chesed, is ultimately Tiferes, beauty, because it's the Midas Harachamim. The 13 principles of mercy is revealed on this month, in the month of Elul, which is the expression Hashem Hashem, which is the name of God. We say it twice, and the 13 principles of mercy. That's the name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is mercy, as is brought down in the Zohar. So each of the divine names indicates one of the supernal attributes. The name El, for example, indicates Chesed. Elakim indicates Gevura. And any unqualified appearance, ultimate name of God, Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is known as Shem HaEtzem, the essential name, alludes to the attribute of Tiferes. Why? Why is this the case? Because in the name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei, that's why we can't even say it, is the revelation of the infinite light that comes manifest in an immense illumination. In a much surpassing light that's more than the divine attributes. It's the attribute, it's Rachamim. That's where Rachamim, mercy, goes above Chesed and above Gevura. Mercy is more powerful than Chesed, because even Chesed would agree that you shouldn't give to those that are unworthy. And even Gevura would agree you should only give to those that are worthy. And Rachamim, mercy that goes above, is infinite. It says, no, we give to everybody. We give to all. Because sometimes you have to give to those maybe that are unworthy too. And that's the completion of the Tanya of the day. Today is the 8th day of the month. which starts on chapter 44 of Tanya, of Tillim, I'm sorry, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. So 44 to 48. And also the three chapters of the day are 22, 23, and 24. Those are the three chapters of the day. I wish you a wonderful, beautiful, happy day. We'll see you, Mitchum, tomorrow
Right.
at 8 a.m.